Welcome everybody to Blue Collar Startup, the podcast where hard work meets big ideas. This is your home for real talk, real stories, and real strategies from the front lines of life in the business of the trades. I'm your co-host, Derek with Daigle Cleaning Systems.
Yeah, you are. And I'm the other host, Mike Belson from 5 Towers.
Let's get to work.
Yeah.
We're switching up the intro, so, I figured that would throw us for a little bit of a loop.
Playing around a little bit. I still got my yeah in there, so that's good.
But there's a reason for it. There's a method to the madness. And today we're going to be doing talk on marketing and what you need to get started in your business versus growing and scaling. And as you acquire customers, how those needs change over time. So nobody better to drop the knowledge and nerd out about digital marketing and all things marketing than Mike. So I was actually really excited because we've obviously had a lot of conversations recently over the last few weeks, just with our marketing and some of the things that we're doing. And there's obviously a lot going on in the world of marketing, mainly digital. And I know we'll talk about a lot of that here. So super excited.
Yeah.
I want to remind everybody that we do have some new episode formats, our Let's Ask Bill or Lab segments. I think we have one coming up here over the next couple of weeks, if I'm right.
Yep.
We're really grateful for Bill, and he's over at the OpEx shop. All the knowledge that he brings from his years of experience, very educational. So please tune into those. Our Catamount Roundtable discussions with Stacy and Scott. Super grateful for everything that those guys do to support the show. And we love having them on to talk about personal development, growth, and leadership. Also, our Women in the Trade segments, which we shot our first episode here last week. So that should be out pretty soon. Super excited to see that. And also our interviews from the field, which is our base template of what we started with. And we have had and continue to have some amazing guests on the podcast. I'm always happily surprised when I see every week a new episode drop. So I think we're a couple episodes ahead, right? Or behind.
Yeah, I think we might be like 4 or 5 episodes that we've got in the can right now that are just waiting to get released that we've already recorded. So yeah, we're like a month ahead on episodes. So there's a lag between when we record and when they get put out in public.
Yeah, I'm excited because I actually started listening to all of the episodes again.
Oh yeah,
I get excited because it's like we hear when the guests are talking and going through the interviews, but then they sound great, and your team obviously does a great job with putting those together. So super grateful for that as well. Want to remind everybody about our Patreon side of the show. It's a whopping $5 a month.
huge.
So we have some additional rapid fire questions and some additional information from our guests that we leave exclusively for those Patreon members. So if you're not a member yet, sign up. It will be worth it. I can promise you that. And last but not least, I want to thank our sponsors. We do have sponsorship of opportunities available for tools and tuition. We donate some of that money back to students over at Hudson Valley and BOCES programs to help cover costs of tools and tuition. Current sponsors are People Ease, Martin Electric, MLB Construction, Bonaccio Construction, Michaels Group Homes, Catamount Consulting, the Northeast Construction Trades Workforce Coalition, my team over at Daigle Cleaning Systems, and Mike's team over at 5 Towers Media. Thank you to all those sponsors. Now, without further ado.
Hold on, I got a question.
Let's talk marketing.
All right, but hold on. Before we talk marketing, you mentioned listening to the show. I can't. How do you do it? How do you listen to the show after the fact? Does it bother? Like, I hear myself talking, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. I cringe. I flinch. I hear my voice, and I'm like, oh God. Like,
I've gotten over that over time.
Have you?
But the short answer is you do most of the talking, so I don't have to listen to this.
I never shut up. Okay, that's fair.
You set me up for that one. That was too easy. No, they sound they sound really good, Mike. I think we've come a long way over the last couple of years, and I know they'll continue to to grow and get better as we go. But yeah, I like listening to it. I honestly I pick up content that I didn't catch the first time around,
Yeah.
or things resonate differently. So it's a learning opportunity, and that's kind of what I leave it as in my mind. So a lot of good information there.
All right, I got to reframe it in my brain and get over my voice, I guess.
Yeah, that's all.
All right, sorry, I had to ask that. Let's talk about the topic of the hour.
So when somebody is either looking to or in the process of venturing out on their own, whether that's in a trade or another blue collar industry, in your opinion, what is the first step, or what should folks do uh, to deploy the marketing tactics, both at a base level, with no budget, and then as they start to grow and develop a budget? What is your recommendation? How should that look?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. I think we might have done some special skits on it too. Just talking about the mistakes that I see people make. And I think one of the first things that people do, or one of the first considerations, is your available capital. So like if you've got money to invest in a website, which if when you first start out, if you're going to invest any money in your marketing, it should be, especially given the current environment we're in, it should be a website. However, you can very easily, if you don't mind spending the time doing it, you can go to a Wix or a Squarespace and build a website for yourself so that at least you have something, and it's not going to cost you any money. You don't have to pay a company like ours thousands of dollars to build you this beautiful site that's going to show up in Google and all the things that it's got to do. You don't need that yet, right? So in the beginning, you right out of the gate, I think just having a really simple website so that it gives you the credibility that a website gives you, but also it does give you the opportunity to be found by people that you don't know. So first step, make sure that you've got a website that says who you are, it talks about what you do, and makes it easy for people to get a hold of you. Like that's the simple, first thing, right? Um, and then from there, honestly, like, and trying to make it, and trying not to assume that people have heard the other podcasts that we've done on this, but the big mistake I see, Derek, people do is they run out and they feel they got to do all these things. They've got to spend money on advertising, and they need to get a Facebook page set up, and they got to do all this stuff. And honestly, like, none of that is necessary. Especially I think, for like the contractors out there, you're doing renovations, you're doing framing, you're doing decks, you're a plumber, like any of those things. It's in such high demand. I think the easiest thing is, if you're on social media, use your personal social medias. Don't sign up for a business page yet. Don't start trying to figure. That's a whole nother ball of wax that is gonna, it's a rabbit hole you don't want to go down yet. Let's put it that way, right? Because it's just gonna start sucking all your time and sucking all your energy, and you're gonna be trying to figure out why no one's seeing your Facebook posts or whatever, and it's just not a valuable spend. So get a website, and then just talk about what you do every time you're on a job site. Post a picture to whatever social media channel you're on. Put a quick video up. Talk about what you're doing. Doesn't need to be fancy. Doesn't need to be anything spectacular. You don't have to spend hours editing or making it whatever. Like, just keep it simple in the beginning for sure.
So for me, I marketing is overwhelming. Obviously, for anybody, it's overwhelming for me, especially somebody getting started. There's all of, as you mentioned, there's all these different things that you could do.
Mm-hmm.
How do those all tie in together? So you got the website, somebody goes and they get their website established at a real base, easy online presence, just something to be established there. But how does that tie into SEO? And how do they get found or set themselves apart? Like, how does that all tie together? And what are some simple ways that people can leverage social media with their website and SEO?
Yeah. So it's marketing has become so technical and complicated, and I think if people knew the amount of hours I spend every single week reading and digesting information on marketing, like I've been doing this for 12 years and I spend hours every day reading and searching and looking at different tactics and strategies to try to figure out, like, it changes so fast and there's so many things and it can just be so overwhelming trying to figure it all out. So let's pretend you've got a website, you built it yourself with Wix. Let's pretend you've got a personal Facebook page. Maybe you're on Instagram, maybe you're TikTok and whatever. The realistically, in the environment we're in right now, which is rapidly changing, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in this episode or maybe in the Patreon side about the 4 specific things that you need to be doing in the market right now. But realistically, if you want to be found on Google, let's say, then you really need to make sure you've got a Google business profile set up. It's been very important for years, but with the current changes being driven by AI and the prevalence of AI use with things like ChatGPT and all these other what we call chatbots, or LLMs is the technical term, which stands for large language models. With those changes, your Google business profile is becoming even more important. And I would argue it's more important right now than having a Facebook page or being on social media. So it's getting found. If someone goes to their browser, they put in contractor near me, or the contractor or plumber or whatever it is, you need to make sure you've got a Google business profile. That's like numero uno for showing up in search right now. And also in showing up in ChatGPT when people are asking questions of it. It's going to be a very powerful tool for that as well. So that's the first thing, Derek. Again, when you're in startup mode, I would not go beyond that. Website.
So when you set up, if somebody's not using Gmail, right? Because I think Gmail is the default for Google business profile. So would you recommend then that somebody set up a simple Google profile with their email so everything is in one place? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, bare minimum, you want to have an @Gmail account. I believe Google still requires it as far as being able to set up a YouTube account, a Google business profile. Anything really in the Google universe is going to require a Google address. They may have recently changed that, but as far as I know, you still have to have a Gmail address. Maybe they'll change that at some point in time, but
And can you link that to your website? Because I know there's a way to do like at the website.com.
so yeah, you can, if you wanted to go the extra steps and set up what we would call a business email through Google, you can do that. And you can just Google, how do I set up Gmail for my business, so that you've got an @dagoclean.com or an @5towers.us. We do use Google or Gmail, business Gmail for our company. We always have. And there's some setup there. And if you're using like a Wix or Squarespace, they typically have a really good interface that makes it as easy as possible without you having to be too technical to do it. And then your email is Mike at whatever your company name is, and that's nice and clean. And I think it's a little bit more professional than having an @Gmail address. But at the end of the day, also not necessary. And again, when you're in startup mode, you can get lost going down all these rabbit holes. So it's like, do what you need to do at the bare minimum. You got to have a Gmail address so you can set up that Google business profile, and which is super important. Super important.
So you got your website,
Yeah.
you got your basic Facebook account or personal page that you can post to.
Yeah.
You got your email address.
Yep.
What's next?
So now you've got a website, you've got a Google business profile at that point, and you're posting to your personal accounts on social media. Again, I can't stress that enough. Don't waste the time and energy of getting a business account on social media yet. And I will say, since I say that, there comes a time in your business when you may want to have a business page for your business. However, you have to understand Facebook specifically does not prioritize business pages. It prioritizes personal pages. And what that means is when people are on Facebook and going through the scroll, they're going to see more personal pages than anything else. If you want your business page to be seen by people, you pretty much have to pay Facebook for it, which is why I say don't do it. You're going to get free exposure on a personal profile. As soon as you have a business profile, the number is roughly 3 to 5% of people that follow your business page will see your posts when you post them for a business page. So it's like, let's just say you go to the extent of creating a Facebook page for your business and you're going to invite all of your friends and you're going to work so hard to get to like 400 or 500 followers. And then the reality of the situation is only 4 or 5% of those people will actually see your posts once in a while when they're on the scroll. So you're going all this time, money, and effort to make this thing happen, and then you're getting almost nothing from it. Like 4 to 5% of 500 people, that's 25 people. Like that is not a lot of people, and you're working so hard to do it. And like when you look at audience acquisition on Facebook right now, it's costing $2 to $4 per person to get them to follow you, just to follow your page, and they're still not going to see it. So it's like, so you're going to spend, to get to 1,000 followers, you're going to spend $4,000 or $5,000 to get there, and still only 50 people will see your post. Like it's chasing good money. It's good money chasing bad money, or bad, whatever the saying is.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, like, don't worry about doing that. Just focus on posting to your personal profile. People will see that. You will get business. Like it's almost guaranteed, right?
Are there any recommendations that you have of ways to set those posts apart or to be able to stand out from some of the other businesses out there?
The biggest thing that people have to understand is that you want it to be indicative of the work that you're doing. So if you're a framer, then those photos better be you in front of a wall you just framed, and it better be talking about the work that you do. I just framed this kitchen in da 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 da. And guaranteed, people are going to be like, hey, do you do this? Do you do that? I need to do this. Is this something that you could do? And so you want to make sure the imagery, if you're a plumber, then you want pictures of you underneath the sink, or if you're installing it at, an HVAC unit, that's what you want. And it doesn't matter if it's a similar image over and over and over again. At the end of the day, people are going to see it. There is such a shortage of people in the trades out in public right now. And I think anyone that listens to this that is a contractor, a plumber, whatever, they know, right? Like I can post a picture on Facebook and I get 5 calls. Like it's that easy right now, but only if it's your personal profile. Doesn't work if it's your business profile.
Got it. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's the business profile thing. And what's wild about it is, to me, is now these changes happened in 2016. That was 10 years ago, Derek. I remember we were watching our clients who would get hundreds of interactions on a Facebook post with their business page went down to like 2 or 4.
Wow.
My phone's blowing up. They're like, what are you guys doing? We're not getting any likes on those posts. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's not us. We're doing the same things yesterday that we're doing today. And it was just Facebook needed to make money, and they had millions of business pages. And, if you force all those people now to pay for what they used to get for free, that's a lot of money. But the wild thing about it, though, is that it's now been 10 years and people still think that a Facebook business page is a valuable tool in marketing. And I'm just like, it's not. Most of my clients, which are B2B clients and not B2C, most of my B2B clients, I'm like, we don't even need to have a Facebook page. Like we can just delete it. It's going to matter nothing for your business. And it's the rule of thumb that I tell people is like, hey, listen, if you have one and you've got 500, 600, 1,000 followers, might as well at least post a couple times a week to it in case this ever changes, because you don't want to have to start over 2 years down the road if Facebook decides to give out a little love for free. But at the end of the day, for a lot of brands, like that, those pages aren't doing anything. And for people to waste, especially when you're a young business, to waste a bunch of time, money, and resources chasing after it, you're just never going to get the return on it.
Yeah, that's what I was I was hoping you were going to say that because it sounds like it could be a huge time and resource suck
It is. I
without a
watch
lot of
brands do
return.
it. I watch people do it all the time. They're like, I see a friend, they start a new business. First thing they do, they start a new Facebook business page. And I get it. They're proud. They want to tell the world. I totally understand that. But then I watch them like doing all this content, spending all this time creating stuff, and they're getting 15 likes on a post, which is like big, right? And it's like they spend so much time to get those 15 likes and comments, and half of them are their cousins, their aunts, their grandmothers, and it's like those people are going to work with you anyway. Like it's not get it might be good for your ego, but it's not good
Yeah.
for your wallet. So
Since we're on the topic of social media, how about some of the other social medias that are out there? You know, now you got TikTok, you got
yeah,
LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. There's so many at this point.
yeah.
Are there any, is there value when you're starting up to put any time into those social media outlets?
So a couple things about it, and it is very splintered. There's so many options, and every channel is a little different with who their audience is. So the first thing, and maybe I should have said this in the beginning, but every marketing decision that you make should start with who your target market is, who you're trying to get in front of. If you're telling yourself, well, I can work with anyone, you can't market to anyone in quotes, because then that means you have to market to everyone. And marketing to everyone is expensive. So you want to be like super specific about who your ideal client is. Doesn't mean you won't work with these other people, but you want to focus all your stuff. And I always tell people, like, if you're a contractor and you want to only do kitchens and baths, but you'll do other stuff too, right? You won't say no to the work, but you want your primary focus to be kitchens and baths. Then every single thing you do should be about kitchens and bathrooms. You're still going to get the inquiry of like, oh, well, hey, do you do decks? Do you do, additions? Like, you're still going to get those questions because people are going to see you working on a kitchen, and they're going to be like, oh, wow, he's a contractor. She's a contractor. I wonder if they do this. And they're still going to ask the question. So you don't be afraid to like be really specific about your target market and who you're going after, and being afraid that you're going to miss out on something. You won't. They're still going to ask. Like, I promise. But so you start with your target market. You have to be really specific, because when we look at each channel, the demographics have some overlap, but they're also really kind of specific too. So if you're trying to get after, we'll say Gen X, and baby boomers right now, primarily Facebook, some Instagram, and usually the people that are on Instagram are not on Facebook because they left Facebook because of all the toxic garbage that's on Facebook these days. So like, Facebook, Instagram. Um, when you're looking at like the younger generations, like my kids range from, well, my youngest is 6, but my 15-year-old, my 17-year-old, my 21-year-old, those guys spend most of their time on Snapchat and TikTok. There's TikTok is kind of a what's the word? It's kind of a white knight as far as social media goes, because the baby boomers aren't really on TikTok. There might be a couple of outliers, but not really. But there's a lot of Gen Xers, a lot of millennials, a lot of Gen Zs on TikTok. The good thing about TikTok is that TikTok hands out it hands out views and exposure, kind of like what Facebook did when Facebook still worked. When Facebook was, quote unquote, doing it right. That's how TikTok is currently. However, there is the barrier with TikTok that you still need to be somewhat entertaining. It still needs to be video driven and not image driven. So from a production standpoint, you're going to spend your time and your resources putting that all together, or you're going to pay someone to do it for you. And paying someone to do that stuff for you, I mean, that can get expensive really, really fast. And whether or not you're getting the return on investment is a whole nother story. Um, we've never done TikTok for clients. Like, I just, when clients ask about it, I'm like, hey, listen, like, what you're going to pay us to do 3 to 5 reels a week for you and publish them to TikTok is going to be so much money. You're never going to get it in return. So It's if you're doing it yourself, that's the way to do it. If you're not going to do it yourself, I'd be very wary of paying anyone to do it. Um, so that's kind of the breakdown on those channels. And then we'll bring LinkedIn to the conversation for our B2B people. LinkedIn is still somewhat effective, depending on how you use it. Again, it's almost always going to be best if you're doing it yourself rather than paying an outside company. A lot of the value to LinkedIn is their paid programs are okay. They're not awful. They're not great. They do work. They're a little more expensive than some of the other platforms as far as minimums and what it costs you to get out there on a day-to-day basis. However, it is putting you in front of a business-centric environment or people. So from a target market, if you're B2B, you're better off spending money on LinkedIn than you are on, say, a Facebook. But I think the real power with Facebook is the groups and having conversations with other people on LinkedIn, which again, you don't want to pay an outside company to do that for you. And even if you did, like, would they be able to effectively have a conversation about what you do and how you do it, and to get into all the intricacies of how it gets done in a conversation? I don't think that that's a possibility for most brands. So it's I'm sure I'm sounding not very bullish on social media in general, because I'm not. It's the last thing like when I tell people about social media, I'm like, hey, listen, the only reason why people pay us to do social media for them is not because they can't do it. It's because they just don't want to, and they feel like they need to be there, or they have, like I said earlier, if you have a Facebook page, you have to post to it. Otherwise, if you're not going to post to it, you should just delete it, because there's a credibility piece in the buyer journey. Typically, when people are trying to get educated, they usually start on your website first. Not always, but I speak mostly from the B2B world, but in the B2B world, that for some reason they landed on your website. They're learning about your company, the services you offer, and then when they've gotten what they can get from your website and they're still looking for more, they're going to go to your social media and they're going to start learning about who you are from that standpoint. And if you haven't posted in 3 months, it makes you look like you're a fly by night, or maybe you went out of business, or, so you're better off just deleting it at that point. But
So there's so much we could dive into here.
I know.
I want to, so just to recap for the listeners. So build your website,
Yeah.
whether you do it yourself or perhaps pay somebody to do it for you. Set up your Google My Business page,
Yeah.
set up your email account, set up your social media account if you desire, or
If you want to, you can also not set up social media.
is there anything else from the digital side that, we miss? Because I do want to jump into the grassroots marketing and some of the things that can be done, for startup, and to pound the pavement, kind of like what we had to do before social media was so big.
Yeah.
And digital marketing was so big. So is there anything else that you wanted to cover on that front?
Well, I think that we would be remiss if we did not just at least talk about AI and how it's impacting marketing. Just real quickly,
I think we should say that for Patreon.
you want to say that, Phaedra? Well, let me just,
Up to you. Yeah.
there's 4 specific things that you need to make sure you're focusing on for the AI marketing environment that we are now in, that is only going to increase as it catches more and more steam. And we'll save those 4 things for the Patreon side. So we'll tease that a little bit. However, I just want to say, if you're not concerned about what AI is doing to the marketing landscape, then you are falling behind. And so, and this is mainly for the companies that are existing. They're out of startup mode. They've got a team, they're cranking, and they're spending money on marketing. If you're spending money on marketing and you have not started to adjust your strategy for SE or for artificial intelligence, you really need to. It's completely changing everything. We literally, in the last 60 days, I've had to reinvent my whole company based around this stuff, change our offerings, change how we do business, change how we bring our clients to market. And it's impacted how we do websites. It's impacted how we create content. It's impacted It's impacting what we do for clients now. I mean, we're getting rid of a host of services that we're new clients coming on. We're not even offering them because it's just not going to be, there's going to be no return on investment for them to do it with us. So it's like, I understand that this is something people have been doing for a decade. It no longer works, or it's dying slow death. So, but we'll get into that a little bit more on the Patreon side, I guess. Just be aware. Lots of changes. You need to be looking at that stuff.
Yeah, when we were talking about that yesterday, my mind was blown with some of the different things that are going on out there in the landscape, and obviously the fact that you're being honest with people and being able to reinvent and change and pivot says a lot about you, obviously, and the Five Towers team. So,
Well, I mean, we have an obligation, right? Like,
yeah, 100%.
our clients are paying us good money, and they're doing it because they're counting on us to do certain things. And like, for us to just keep doing them just because we get a paycheck for them, and even though we know they're not working or know they're not going to be working very soon, and like, yeah, it'd be terrible for us to just continue down the path just because we've got retainers coming in for it. So it's created even more work for us to make the turn, but it's necessary. So
Well, we'll flip back to that when we hit
right.
the Patriot side. But one thing I did want to talk about, Mike, and we've had these conversations a couple of times. We've talked a little bit about them in previous episodes, but for folks who are just starting out or looking to get started on their own, we've had some folks who have worked full-time jobs,
Mhm.
and then were weekend warriors, if you will, or worked at night on their business, which is what I did. Devin Kamengay, for example, he always comes to mind when this
Yep.
topic comes up. There's been so many people that we've had on. What is a good place to start, aside from the digital side, the digital landscape?
Hmm.
What can new business owners do to get themselves out in front of the right people who may or may not buy for them, but may open doors? Like, what do you recommend for somebody just starting out?
Yeah. I think the number one strategy is to sit down and write down a list of 25 to 50 to 100 people that right, that you could call today and they would answer the phone. And then you're going to call those people and you're going to tell them what you're doing. It's that simple. You're not trying to sell them anything. You just be like, hey, I just launched a new business. Here's what we're doing. I just want to get the word out. If you know anybody, if you come across anybody, if someone brings this up in a conversation, please, please, please give them my name and number. Like, solid.
So, so what I'm hearing you say is that people who aren't afraid to pick up the phone and have the conversations are going to be further ahead.
Absolutely. And if you are afraid to pick up the phone, I suggest getting over it. Check your ego out the door. And, I mean, here's, you and I have talked about this, but like, people, especially those 50 to 100 to 200 people that that when you call them, they'll pick up the phone. I mean, they know you pretty well, right? They've
Yeah.
probably known you for years. You could probably call them and say, hey, let's grab a beer or a cup of coffee. And those people want to help you. Like, they're in your corner, they're on your side. And you're not trying to sell them. You're just trying to let them know what you're doing. If they have a need, they'll let you know. You don't even have to bring it up, right? You don't have to be like, hey, I want to know if you have any plumbing needs that I can help with. Don't say that. Just tell them what you're doing, and just tell them that you're trying to get clients and that you need the help of the people that you know and trust. And surprise, surprise, you're one of those people. So I'm calling you. And I'll tell you, Derek, it's the easiest thing to do. Also, sometimes the hardest, because people have that, like you said, right? They're afraid to pick up the phone, afraid to have that conversation. They don't want to look like they're losers, or they don't want to look like they're not doing well. And it's like, it's nothing to do with that. You've got a business, you've got a responsibility to grow that business. And the only way to do that is by getting in front of people in some fashion. And picking up the phone costs you almost no money. It costs you very little time. And it's the fastest way to get clients.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I think people enjoy the human interaction in
Mhm.
today's digital age. You know, bringing back to social media and all the digital things from a marketing standpoint that you can do. I think that's the norm, and I almost look at it as a way to set yourself apart. So if you're able to have those conversations, get in front of people, and utilize your network, I 100% agree. I think that's a good way to go, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
It's like a phone bill.
Yeah. And which, everybody's probably on an unlimited plan, so it doesn't matter how many calls you make. And it per phone call, it's going to cost you 5 minutes, and you get to talk to someone that you know. So
Yeah. So how about when you love door hangers?
I do love
I'll
door.
bring that up. Business cards, brochures, t-shirts, apparel. It's real easy to get wrapped around the axle of all of these things that
Yeah.
are tangible. Uh, I went through it and it adds up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
How do you recommend for somebody that is going door to door, stopping at job sites, or just dropping by offices, introducing themselves? What are the essentials that they may need to be able to get something in front of people without overspending and overdoing it?
Yeah. Well, like you said, I love, well, I should say I love door hangers for home services. So like, I don't care if you're in pest control, you're a plumber, you're landscaping, like it doesn't matter. I love door hangers. It's even better if you knock on the door and try to actually talk to somebody, but I know that's a really rough one. So if you have that, if you're not afraid to knock on the door, man. If you're afraid to knock on the door, then just leave the hanger. They work better than mailers. They work better than brochures. I'm actually not we design brochures all the time, but I'm not a big fan of them. I think in some cases, business cards are a very valuable tool. Um, if they're used correctly. I think in a lot of cases, people drop a business card and it's over. So you have to if you're going to use business cards, you have to use them in a tactile way. And I have not carried a business card in probably 20 years. But I have a strategy for not carrying business cards. So like if I'm out in public and I'm talking to someone and they ask me for my business card, I just tell them like, you know what? I actually don't carry cards. Let me get your information and then I'll shoot you a note so that you have mine. And now I'm staying in charge. Like I'm staying in control of the situation. Now I've got their name, their phone number, maybe their email address, and I've got a clear next step. I have a legitimate business reason to reach out to them in the next day or two, and that's to give them my information. And that allows me to keep the conversation going at least another step or two. Otherwise, if you just hand somebody a business card and walk away, it's over. Like you're not going to hear from them. They're going to lose the card. So it's like, unless they had like a burning, driving need to get a hold of you about something. But in my experience, I see most people that hand out business cards, that's the end of it.
Glad you brought that up. So networking events are obviously a good way to connect with people as well. That's what I always think of when I hear exchanging business cards. Uh, and I'm sure in every community there's numerous groups that could be joined, whether it's industry specific or chamber of commerce specific. What questions or what should new business owners look at when evaluating where to spend their time in terms of networking events and the events to attend?
Yeah. Well, again, target market, right? Like always, every decision gets made by target market. However, I do see people rule out organizations sometimes because of that target market rule. And I think the best thing to do is just give them a try. Doesn't if you've got a networking organization in your area, whether it's a BNI, a Gold Star, a Meeting Point, a Chamber of Commerce, there's a zillion of them. I say, especially in the beginning, when you're startup mode, go to every single one of them at least twice. And at first, it's going to be uncomfortable, but the more you do it, you're going to see familiar faces. You're going to meet new people. Then you see them at the next one and the next one, and so you're not walking into a room full of people that you don't know. Uh, I I think networking is huge regardless of what businesses you're in. I don't care if you're a plumber and electrician. I don't care if you're a B2B sales guy. Like most business, and I think you'll share this, most business that I have done in my life has started somewhere or been touched or reinforced by networking, right? Like maybe I met them at a networking thing and then they read an article I wrote, or they saw an ad or a social media post, or maybe it happened in a different order. Maybe they saw an ad and then they met me at a networking and they're like, oh, I just saw your ad the other day in the blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, it's our company. This is what we do. So it's just a way to get touch points, which is what you need, but it's a way to get like a very active touch point. And you can have real conversations with people. You can tell them who you are and what you do. You can, find out who they are and what they do, and figure out, can I leverage their network? And I think that's the power of networking, is it's not always about the direct people that because like I forget what the guy's name was. He was like a philosopher or something, but he said that you could only manage in your life like 200 to 250 relationships, right? Like that was the max number. You couldn't
Yeah.
manage any more than that, right? But then it's like, all right, well, if I can only effectively manage 200 relationships, we'll say for easy math, and realistically only 25% of those people are going to need what I do. Well, that's not a very big number. That's only 50 people. I need more clients than that. So the magic with networking is if I can effectively manage 200 people, but in a way that gives me access to the 200 people that they know. Now we're talking, like, what's the math on that? 40,000. So now I've got a pool of 40,000 people instead of, right? Is that 200 times 200? We'll just pretend that's right. I don't know. Without a calculator, I can't do the math. But now 25% of 40,000 people, that is a big number, right? So that's the power of networking. It's not necessarily the people that you know, it's the people that they know, and whether or not you've got a good enough relationship with them that they will introduce you to those people. Powerful.
Interesting. Yeah, very. And so I know we do got to jump over to the Patreon side in a few here, but one last thing that I think is extremely valuable, and something that the audience could really take from this in terms of networking. But how do you approach, or what is the best approach, walking into a networking event, or in a room full of people that you don't know,
Mhm.
and how do you break the ice? Because typically networking events can be challenging, and I'm always very uncomfortable at them. I've gotten better about it over the years, but you tend to have groups of people that know each other already, and they all have conversations. How do you break into that and navigate the introduction of yourself and get over that fear?
Yeah, so my strategy for it
Spill
is
a soda on them or something?
yeah, bump somebody in the nose. No, it's I literally I try to lead with being humble. So if I'm there, I know no one. I'm just gonna pick the closest group of people. I'm gonna walk over and I'm like, hey guys, would you mind if I join you? I don't know anybody here, and I don't want to stand by myself in the corner. So if it's all right, I'm just gonna stand here. You don't even have to talk to me, and I'll kind of make a joke out of it. And again, people want to help, man. So like, if you are vulnerable like that to those people, they're gonna be like, oh my God, yeah, come on in, man. Who are you? What do you do? And now you're talking to a group of people, you're meeting new people. And then, how you handle it from there. I guess you gotta not be afraid to be awkward, because it's going to be awkward at points, and just call it out. Oh man, guys, I'm feeling a little awkward over here, standing by myself, eating a sandwich. Like, would you mind if I joined you for a little bit? And then if you feel like it's time to move on, you can even be like, hey guys, so I don't have to tell somebody else how awkward I am. Would one of you guys introduce me to somebody else in the room so that I can meet some more people? And it's just that simple. Like it's I don't think it's being too fancy. I think just being authentic. I don't know anybody. How are you guys? It's or some version of that. You just got to rip the band-aid off and just talk to strangers.
It's a great way to do it. Humor always breaks the ice.
I mean, I'm not always as funny as I think I am, but I try.
Cool. Well, I think, is there anything else, Mike, that you want to cover from a grassroots perspective? I know there's so much that we could talk about here.
I know I could go on for
We could
hours
do
about it.
segments on every individual piece.
And we should. And maybe we will. Yeah, but no, we can jump over to Patreon and talk about what AI is doing and how to handle it.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you over on the Patreon side.
And that wraps up another episode of Blue Collar Startup. A big thank you to our sponsors, 5 Towers Media, Daigle Cleaning Systems, Daigle Fire Solutions, The Michaels Group, Martin Electric, MLB Construction, Bonaccio Construction, Peoplease, and Catamount Consulting for making this podcast possible. And thank you for tuning in. If you learned something or felt inspired, connect with us on our website at bluecollarstartup.io or email us at hardhat.bcsu@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your questions and topic ideas. Help us spread the word by sharing the show and following us on social media for updates. Until next time, keep on building, keep on dreaming, and keep hustling like your future depends on it.